Today I'm giving you a brief overview of the Poultry Decontamination project. The project is for the poultry industry in Australia and is funded by Poultry Hub Australia and is being carried out by the Biosecurity and Food Safety departments within the Department of Primary Industries and Regions in South Australia. So the aim is to develop practical guidelines for the decontamination of poultry farms in Australia for routine cleanouts and then at the end of a batch or cycle, but also after a food safety or animal health incident. The scope is limited to empty bird housing and best methodology. The objective is to produce practical guidelines and procedures. The plan was to carry out an online survey of the current decontamination practices used on poultry farms in Australia, and also to do a scoping exercise using an honours degree student project to do a literature review as a base for the project to determine what resources were available and what research has already been performed. We plan to do on-farm microsampling as a comparison before and after cleaning to develop a baseline to compare the efficacy of cleanouts. And of course, data analysis to be carried out on all of the above. And from this, develop the best practice guidelines and procedures. The online farm survey consisted of questions such as whether there were written SOPs for the clean-out, what steps were actually taken, and the timing, how long it took, but also if it was whole farm depopulation, so broilers, then if cleaning and sanitation commenced while birds were still on the farm, and what the timing of the sanitation was. Who did which cleaning steps and what areas were cleaned and the sequencing of it. Questions about the water source, what equipment was used for cleaning, and which chemicals and insecticides and when they were applied, and what supervision and inspection occurred. So here is a brief summary of our findings. We only had 26 replies, but some of those covered whole broiler companies with 20 or 30 farms. And we also had egg companies which covered several different farms as well. We had the whole range of shedding options, and it covered layers, meat chickens and turkeys. They all had SOPs and turnaround times varied considerably, and all had the basic steps. And timing of use of insecticide varied, if it was used at all. All the sanitisers were APVMA approved, but the insecticides varied, and 4 respondents were using non-registered insecticides, which of course was of some concern. There was an enormous range of equipment used for the dry clean stage, as you can see. I thought the use of a snowplough was very interesting and perhaps quite useful for scraping up the litter. So what did we gain from this? Well, obviously we need to get information out there to ensure that only registered insecticides are used in poultry sheds. We don't need to see a disaster such as occurred in the Netherlands when a cleaning contractor used fipronil and managed to contaminate an awful lot of eggs. It made us think about cleaning all of the cleaning machinery, and it really highlighted the importance of people understanding how chemicals and sanitisers work and what their compatibilities are, and also knowing what is effective on what surfaces and what the most effective application methods are. So that rolled on into the scoping exercise. We came up with all the sanitisers registered by the APVMA for use in the poultry sheds, which was a total of 52 products with 8 main groups. And we commented on the important factors within each group, which can affect the way that the chemicals work and how they should be used. For example, some products have additives such as surfactants added, which help to wet out surfaces and penetrate organic matter. Or they may have emulsifiers which assist to break down the fats. Some products have additives which counteract the effects of hard water salts. And other products require rinsing from galvanized surfaces to prevent corrosion. Glutaraldehyde is a commonly used sanitizer and has a complex relationship between parameters of concentration, temperature, and pH, and its efficacy can be greatly enhanced by adjusting the pH. We also listed all the registered insecticides. We researched the different methods that had been used in other countries to evaluate their shed cleaning, and we discussed the lab capabilities available across Australia and discussed sampling and testing to determine effective verification methods. So we came up with a protocol to evaluate shed cleaning, which consisted of sampling various surfaces in the shed in a methodical way. First, we designated sites throughout the shed, as in this diagram for a broiler shed, and we targeted bird contact areas. For example, we sampled 3 lots of 10 drinker cups, 3 lots of 5 feeder pans, 10 floor samples each covering 50 by 50 centimetres, 10 wall samples covering 50 by 50 centimetres. And in layer sheds, we also sampled nest pads and slats. We used Whirlpack sponge swabs with 20 ml of buffered peptone water to swab these areas. The sampling pan for post cleaning in that shed sampled matching but different positioned areas to ensure that our sampling did not affect the results. Here are the results of 2 layer farms, one which we could visually see that one had done a better job than the other, and this was reflected in the results. So it shows for each sample type on a bar graph. The first graph is before and the second after clean out, and indicated the log reduction in the counts. As you can see, the first graph shows excellent reduction on all the parameters except the feeders. The second shows reductions, but not nearly as large. These pictures give you some indication on what the issues were. The one on the top right-hand corner shows very poor removal of litter, and the others show considerable remaining organic matter still present, particularly under the drinker cups and also in and under the feeder pans. You can see why the feeder pan results didn't necessarily look so good. They're very difficult to adequately clean out. From this, we believe that it's extremely important to inspect after the cleaning step to ensure that organic matter is adequately removed before the sanitizers are applied. We have done sampling to date in both broilers and layers, but we have more to do, but we will also ensure that input to the cleaning assessments is carried out to be able to measure the levels where organic matter is visually removed. More information needs to be gathered to be able to assess the effectiveness of different types of cleaning agents and sanitisers in the shed environment. And also information as how to improve cleanouts when a disease or food safety issue arises. And this can mean all sorts of other parameters are examined, such as the whole farm, timing of clean out and sanitation. I wish to thank Dr. Angela Scott for her input into the start of this project, and also the team at the Uni of Adelaide for their hard work on the sampling and lab work. Dr. Kapil Chulsika, Dr. Sammy Cowan, and also Shruti, who did the honours project. Also, I wish to thank the companies and farms which have assisted in the surveys.